What is going on, everyone? Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the South Florida Gamers Podcast. I am your host, the Silverback Senpai, and joining me is my co-host, as you guys already know, Waluigi.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year's 2021, starting off with episode 19.
Alrighty, and with that being said, we also have our guest, Uberscosplay. What's going on?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Alrighty, so this episode of the podcast is available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, and any other popular, I just said the popular audio streaming platforms or whatnot. So see them there. And then, of course, if you're watching it and you want to catch up on the replay, of course, it's going to be available on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, where it's currently being streamed at. So, like every episode, me and Waluigi, we always recap on the last episode. Last episode was back in 2020, where we had Eddie and Will, the owners of Flynn's Arcade. Shout out to them.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
What do you think about the episode?
It was pretty good. It was a great origin that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, because we definitely got more knowledge of the things of an actual arcade that a lot of people don't know and understand. Like, it's not as luxurious as a lot of people would think it would be. Like, running an arcade is actually difficult, and of course the machines itself, as Eddie said, most of them are 20 years old or even past that. So you're not going to find a lot of these arcade cabinets around in the United States unless you go to places like maybe New York or California.
Yeah, I gotta imagine the upkeep for some of these gets pretty crazy. And it was also funny just hearing about, Will having to sit on the corner, stuff like that.
Will, you are off that corner, man.
For now.
Rise up, king. But yeah, I was definitely impressed with all the preservations and such, and small parts here and there, and the teamwork that came with it.
Yeah, it actually made me curious too, because just based on the conversations that we're having, I was looking up what it takes to convert one of these from a CRT screen to like a modern one.
Yeah.
And you would think, because spoiled on modern technology, plug and play, right? No, it is a huge deal to do it.
There's a requirement for everything.
Yeah, it's not easy, because there are arcade cabinets I'd like to have maybe one day, and I was looking into that. I was like, okay, because those things do burn out. What does it cost? What is it like to upgrade them? And it's not an easy thing to do.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially converting to LED is not a joke.
And then, of course, I remember I mentioned, what do you guys think about those little free arcade one-up machines and whatnot? And Eddie said that, listen, if it's not a real arcade machine if it can't kill you.
Yeah.
And then we learned about the requirements that it takes to kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you look into those things, and they're made out of the cheapest of the cheap materials and everything like that.
Yeah, and Eddie said that too. If you ever get one, just scrap out the parts, change the joystick and the buttons to get you some actual parts, so that way at least you'll have some longevity with it.
Yeah, those things are just churned out of some Chinese factory, mass-produced.
Yeah, something with the micro switches, right? I'm trying to remember this.
Well, even just that, even just the panels it's made out of are flimsy.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about our guests, Uberscosplay, and of course, like all of our guests, we asked them of their gaming origins from start to where they're at now. So, Ben, why don't you tell us about your gaming origins?
Hi, Ben.
Hi. So where I got started in gaming might be a little bit different from some of the other guys you've had, because I'm more of a strategy game player.
Right.
Okay.
So the first games I ever really played when I was younger were Warcraft 2, StarCraft,
Oh, my.
Red Alert. I was big into strategy, real-time strategy games. That's a kind of game that's kind of not seen quite as much anymore. They're still around, but those back then, that was the dominant series of games, especially on PC. So that's really where I started. And I was also into RPGs and things like that. The first video game console I ever had was a Nintendo.
Hey.
But every console I had from then on, I always kind of picked the losing horse in the race. The next thing I had was the Sega Genesis.
Oh, okay.
Which some people might say is the losing horse of that race, you know what I mean? Because SNES was the much bigger, more popular console.
Yeah.
But then it's next generation. You had the N64, the PlayStation. I had a 3DO.
Wow.
3DO. I want to know about that. I've heard about the 3DO. I know
heard of that,
nothing.
It's the Panasonic.
Oh,
It's the Panasonic's entry
take
into the
that back.
That one was kind of interesting because it was made by the guy that made EA. Was it Trip Hawkins, something like that? But that was their entry into the 32-bit CD console, and it was all like full motion video type of games and everything. So it was that kind of console.
right.
But the one really good thing about it did have a perfect, or I think near perfect port of Street Fighter II Turbo Arcade.
Oh.
Like where it had the full scrolling background, it had the full roster, it had the full music. Everything else that had that port got somewhat nerfed except for the 3DO. It was like the one good thing it had over everybody else.
I'm looking at pictures of it, so I've only seen this once.
Yeah, it was like a big console. It was like $700 when it came out.
You were right. I saw the pricing and everything.
It was like, because their idea was they would sell the consoles at a loss, and like the developers would get a bigger cut of the games. That was like their idea. And like you could buy a card for your PC that would plug in, and you could just play 3DO games on the PC. It was like a really weird business model. But yeah, so I had the 3DO, and then like the next big console I bought was the Dreamcast. So I kept on making.
I can't say anything bad about the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
I can't either. I love it. I love it to death. I mean, I still play it all the time for Virtual On. But yeah, so I kind of had a history of backing the losing horse in the console races. So I kind of missed out on a lot of console stuff. But I was always much more of a PC gamer. Was really where I started out. And like I said, it was big time strategy games. Like I remember when freaking Y2K was going on, I was sitting there playing Warcraft 2, Tide of Darkness, and I'm like, let it end, I don't care. I just need to beat this freaking horde army.
And I can die peacefully.
I could never understand like World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and all those other games. I never could understand them and whatnot. And I've had people explain to me how it is, and just like, eh.
Well, it's funny too because we think about like competitive gaming as like a spectator sport thing being fairly recent.
Right.
The original StarCraft, when that came out, that was so big. Like in Korea, or they were doing huge tournaments. Like that's where all this e-gaming stuff nowadays can directly point to. Is that's the start. That's what proved it as viable. Was like the huge StarCraft competitive community, and like for years that was going on. Even when 2 came out, people were still playing that super competitively. I'm sure there's still people playing it super competitively now. But yeah, I mean, I could list dozens of strategy games I played, like a ton of Sierra titles. Sierra is a gaming studio that's now defunct. They're no longer around. But I played Cyberstorm that they put out, which
Never.
in reference to what I've done, there's a lot of mech games I've played.
Okay, so
Cyberstorm was like a mech turn-based RPG slash strategy game. Homeworld I played a lot of. I don't know if you've heard that one.
No, never heard of Homeworld.
Homeworld's another RTS game, but that one's is a full 3D game. It's not like you're moving two armies on a plane. Mm-hmm. It was that you were controlling a space fleet in full 3 dimensions. So you had your mothership, and it wasn't just you come at each other like this. You could come at each other from all directions because space was modeled as true 3D space. So,
Question: have you ever played a game called Armored Core?
oh yeah, I played a lot of
Okay.
hardcore. I was never very good at it.
Yeah, I was never good at it either because it was
I
just
never did. Never got into strategy.
That is a big time numbers game because there are part setups in that are just absolutely dominant and they will destroy anything.
Yeah.
And it's just like at a certain point, it's like strategy is just like just equip these parts. That's your strategy. Like,
Yeah, and that's what I did, and I would usually go for like stronger parts, but then your mech would be too slow to move, so you're getting literally messed up, destroyed by enemy combatants or whatnot. And I think the last one I played was for the Xbox 360, Armored Core for Answer, and there was this. I don't know if you remember this one huge fortress mech.
It was actually what it was called, like the mobile fortress.
Yeah, and I got destroyed by that, and I was just like,
Ouch.
I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done with this game.
The last one I played, and this because like I said, I've never been too big on the consoles, was Armored Core 3, and that was on PS2. So I'm way behind on Armored Core stuff. But even back then, like with those games, it was always like, well, what's the best part to use? We get to the part where you got the Kurosawa rifle, and it's like, well, you're using this forever now. Get used to it, just because it was so much better than everything else.
Oh yeah.
And then when I talk about there were certain like setups that were just dominant, and once you had it, it was just like, well, the main part of this game is making the mech. This works against everything. I'm not using everything else. Like I would always use this super heavy armored unit.
Yeah, for better defense.
Okay.
For better defense. And on one arm, it would have the machine gun. On the other would have the flamethrower. And all he would do is trudge right up to you, put you up against the wall, and just burn you into death. And it just
And leave you into cheese.
nothing could
basically.
survive just because the heat from the flamethrower and the machine gun combined, you would just overheat immediately. Mm-hmm. And it felt very cheese, but it's like this is the only thing that works in some of these guys.
Yeah, because that game can be very brutal. Like a lot of people say that Dark Souls is a very brutal game. No, play Armored Core and
Yeah.
play one of the recent ones, and you'll see how brutal it is.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing too. Is like now they're making the Souls games. Who knows if they're ever going to make another Armored Core game? I forgot that was the same company. Yeah.
I
Talk
got
about a change of genre, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that just threw me off.
You know, From Software also made a Super Robot Wars style Gundam crossover game that I played a lot of back. I actually got into importing to play that game, and I got into modding my PlayStation because the normal PlayStation would not play the Japanese region games.
Right.
So I don't know if you ever had to use like the loader discs.
No, I've never used one.
Nope.
Because the PlayStation 2 I had was the old style one, like the initial one, the big brick.
Right.
To get it to play a region-free game, you have to get it to open up without it resetting. Is the whole problem, because if you open it up, you can't put in the loader disc and then load up the other game. It would reset. So there's actually like a card you'd put in, push over to slide, and it would have like a little hook that would connect to where you could pull out the tray while the thing was still on.
Huh.
And it was actually just like a template you put down on like an old credit card, and you cut it out and did that. That was how you got into it.
That is some MacGyver stuff, and I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you would put in. So you started with the loader disc, do this card thing to get it out, and then put in your burned or import copy.
Okay.
And this was an import copy of a game called Ace 3 that I had, which is short for Another Centuries episode.
Okay.
Like I said, I do a lot of mech games as well, and a lot of those obviously do not come out in America. Ace
Right.
was kind of like Super Robot Wars, which is a big crossover of all these different Japanese mecha anime fighting in like a shared universe. But the thing with Ace was it wasn't like a strategy game where it's all top down, you're moving your units around the board. Ace was you're actually controlling the mech. So it was more like in Super Robot Wars, everything's SD and comical to make it all fit in with the same scale. Ace is like you'll have a Gundam and then you'll have Shin Getter right next to each other, and they're fighting on the same level, and it's like, well, these things are totally outclassing each other. What? Yeah, but that was a crazy cool game. It had all the soundtracks from all the different mecha shows too,
Oh, okay.
and everything has tons of, and all the voice acting is there too from characters from like a 25-year span of shows. So it was very, very. There was a reason why I wanted to import it so bad. So this looks awesome. But yeah, I played a lot of Ace on the PS2.
I got a comment in the chat. Stormrogue says, my favorite is Mech Warrior, and he still has a modded PS1.
Yes, Mech
Wow,
Warrior.
that's props.
Mech Warrior 3, I played so much on the PC. So much. Mech Warrior 3 is probably my favorite of the Mech Warrior games. But the only other ones on console I played Mech Assault on Xbox,
I've heard of it.
which is like it's an underrated game. Like I've heard generally like it was really well received, but like I don't think they ever made another one. I think they made one on the Nintendo DS of all things.
Probably DS.
Yeah,
that sounds about
I wanna
right.
say, but that was a decent game, but it wasn't like Mech Warrior is usually more like a mech sim.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you're in the mech. Mech Assault was more like an action game. You know what I mean?
Dude, you should play Titanfall.
I should play. Yeah, I'm not into like the super twitchy shooters. That's the only thing. I'm not
Yeah,
very
because
good at.
Titanfall
is very twitchy.
I know. I'm talking about like there's actually a specific mode where you actually fight with the Titans.
Just
only.
with the Titans.
Yeah.
I might be interested in that then.
Like that multiplayer is just. That's the first time I actually got deeper into mechs.
Yeah, but so Like I said, not just I was mainly playing strategy games, but if anything had giant robots in it, I was usually like I said, not just I was mainly playing strategy games, but if anything had giant robots in it, I was usually like I said, this virtual on is mine. If anything had giant robots in it, I was usually this virtual on is mine. If anything had giant robots in it, I was usually this virtual on is mine. If anything had giant robots in it, I was usually this virtual on is mine. If anything had in the arcade. This virtual on is they had in the arcade. Kind of like your Hydro. This virtual on is they had in the arcade. Kind of like your Hydro. This virtual on is they had in the arcade. Kind of like your Hydro. This virtual on is they had in the arcade. Kind of like your Hydro. These things are from 1995, but
Still, it's an unboxing in general.
I try to keep these in good shape because they are.
Holy smoke.
These are pretty rare nowadays,
Oh my gosh, that is so
and
vivid.
pretty much every one you find is going to be used.
This one looks like definitely well preserved.
This is the reason why I got this one because I knew it was in good shape.
There's
But
barely any damage.
yeah, there's a few scuffs. You know, I got to clean it up, little things like that. But it's a meaty thing. This has actually got like a metal base to it.
Do you make noises while like shooting? Go like,
Yes.
pew pew.
Yes, I did. But the reason I liked this so much is this arcade game, it actually made you control the robot in a way that felt intuitive. Like it wasn't just, you move forward, you press this button, you fire.
No, you're like pushing.
Yeah,
like,
you see in like giant robot anime, they're always controlling it usually with two sticks.
Yeah.
Or they got like two throttles or something.
Yeah.
That's what I was
This
trying to say.
arcade was actually set up to where you'd play it and it was emulating that look. And it was very intuitive because it's like you go forward, back, left, right. If you want to turn, either side, you'd actually turn on your axis.
Okay.
And then, of course, you had buttons for dashing, buttons for left and right weapons, and then two for a center. But the reason I got so into this game was because there were so many different combinations of attacks you could do. Like you think about fighting games, and like, usually it's all about combos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Virtual On was all about position and timing
Okay.
because it was all about like where you were going to be at the end of an attack to set up for the next one, and like the way the different weapons behaved. Like some would cancel other ones out.
I see what you're saying.
And you're fighting in a 3D environment. So like and there's different levels. Like there's valleys and hills and stuff on the levels, and then you can also go and jump into the air. So you're moving in
Okay.
multiple dimensions. And I've always liked that about games. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned Homeworld. I like the idea of moving in 3 dimensions to gain an advantage on somebody.
In a simulated area, that's definitely agreeable.
Yeah, and this one, the original game, Virtual On, was an arcade game, like I said. I think it came out in 95. There was a home port for it on the Sega Saturn, and that's where this is from. That's the Sega Saturn controller. A few years later, in 98, there was a Dreamcast sequel, Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. And that was also an arcade one, but it had a home port on the Dreamcast. And there was an adapter released to where you could take your old sticks and make it work on the Dreamcast. But they also had Dreamcast versions of the stick. Basically same ones, but had like a port for the VMU here.
Yeah.
It was like the Dreamcast memory unit.
Okay.
But that game was even more complex than the first one. Like the graphics were much better, obviously. The roster of robots was bigger.
And the mechanics and the control schemes.
Yeah, much more complex. Like every character has something like 56 variations of their weapons.
What?
Because you have, let's just say, like you're into your right weapon on, say, the main character, Tenjin, the one on the box, the blue robot.
Yeah.
You have your normal rifle. You have your powered rifle. You have your armor rifle. Then you have armor rifle crouching. Power rifle crouching. Power rifle while jumping.
Oh, okay.
Dashing and all these different variations of attacks. So
That
every-
looks so complicated.
That confused me. I'm thinking like if you just go forward and back, that's an uppercut.
There is a ton of different combinations, and that's just one weapon. But then every character has 3 weapons. Every character has melee weapons. Every character can fly, and all the weapons change during this. Various characters have special hidden moves.
Oh my gosh.
And like I said, the game was very deep, and it was not about combos, because it was all about position and how these different weapons would interact with each other. And even then, it was like for balance, certain characters' abilities would change slightly based on who they were fighting,
Okay.
just to keep the game some of the balance, because you had units that were very light armored with high firepower and very fast, and you had units that were very heavily armored and slow, but had like extremely powerful weapons that would track you across a stage.
Oh.
And things like that. But related to Mecha, but all the character designs in the Virtual On games were done by Hajime Kotoke, who I've mentioned on the Gundam podcast a couple times. He's done Gundam designs for years and years. So as a Mecha fan, I was immediately drawn to that because his designs are very cool. And they're very unique as far as mecha designs go. Like, they're not typical Gundam. Like, I look at that and I don't see Gundam.
Right.
And they also have some neat video game things about them. Like, even in the arcade on their backs, like their motor is a Sega Dreamcast.
Oh, wow.
And it opens up and you see the disc spin when they're running around at high speed. And it was the same thing on the Dreamcast version later. They're powered by Dreamcasts on their back.
It's a good time to say this, but Sega.
Yes, exactly. But
I can't forget that.
Virtual On I was so big into that I actually would like run a little club with a couple friends from high school.
Oh,
and we would
that's so
go to the
cool.
arcades and play on because we never had the arcade version of the Dreamcast one. There was just none of them around. They were very rare in America. And but there were arcades that had the Sega Saturn one, the older one, the original Virtual On. I think it was like Kaboom's way back over on, where is that? On 595.
I remember Kaboom.
It's like a kids jumping playhouse type thing now, I think. But we used to go there and play Virtual On all the time. But when we got the Dreamcast versions, and the Dreamcast was like the first console I ever bought with my own money, so it was like a big deal back then.
Wow.
And we got Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. We just, like the four of us, would get together and just do nothing but play Virtual On competitively, constantly. Get super, super into it. And at the time, like the Virtual On scene was always very small. But at that time, even it had kind of waned away because, like I said, there was not a lot of machines. There wasn't a lot of chances to even play competitively. I wasn't able to be there, but some of the other people in the club met up with like one of the club people from Seattle, some of the big people. And even then, they were like, "Oh man, you guys are really good on these controllers." I didn't think I'm not used to seeing people that were that good on it because we didn't have these sticks either. You would do it on the controller. And if you imagine that control scheme, like I mentioned, on something like a controller.
Oh.
Not intuitive at all.
Oh.
so it was but you could do everything. It was much easier to do it on this.
Yeah.
But we didn't have these at the time because we were like poor high school kids, and like you wanted to get these at the time. It was like eBay, and it was like good luck if you could actually get them. You know what I mean?
Especially in good condition.
Yeah, and good because even this one's used, and it's still very clicky, so that's good. But like when those springs wear out, it's like there's not even screws to take this apart. This is like bolted together.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know how to take these off.
That's what I was trying to peek at. I'm like, there's no screws at all.
Yeah. So I'm eventually going to get like another one of these. I'm going to get the Dreamcast ones because those are easier to take apart and repair. But like in general, the Dreamcast ones are less. They don't have that really satisfying click to them. So I've heard that people say these ones are better for gameplay, but the other ones are better for maintenance.
Okay.
But yeah.
I would like to see more of those hopefully in our generation of gaming. But then again, how gaming is going in this generation, I don't know. I don't see like mech style games becoming a new trending wave or whatnot because you never know where the gaming genre, the gaming era is going to go. Because when we look back at the previous one, not too long ago, now that we're going into a new one, the latest and greatest thing was Battle Royale. Everything is doing Battle Royale.
Yeah,
now,
unfortunately.
Now it's like, okay, now we're going to a new era. PS5, X Series X. Where's gaming going to go? What's going to be the new latest thing that's going to just take everyone by storm? And I do miss playing mech games because Armored Core was one of them. There was another one that I played. It was on free to play on PlayStation and of course on PC. Hawken. I don't know if
I played Hawken.
It was okay.
It was basically trash compactors on legs.
Oh.
Like they looked terrible, but the game was like, it was decent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even joking. Like one of the models was literally like an industrial refrigerator 3D model on legs. Like,
What?
Yeah.
it was like some Russian developer or something like that. It's very kind of jank.
But it was a free to play game, so
I was sad when that went defunct. like that went under.
They were what?
When it went defunct, like the company, they had to shut down the
Disbanded.
servers.
Oh.
Yeah, like it was only online for like 2 or 3 years. It
Yeah.
wasn't very long.
That sucked.
I played it. I tried it. I was like, okay. I mean, it's okay, but
Having to grind for hundreds and hundreds of levels for a 0.5 ammo reload increase.
What?
Like
Yeah,
the
like the-
advantages
like-
you would get were very, very minuscule, and you'd have to play extremely long. to get
yeah, the
them.
grind was just too
Yeah,
much, and
it was
that turned me off to the game. Like it was just I'm
Yeah,
good.
what I definitely
But-
see with the future of gaming is I definitely agree with you that with all the gaming building up, it might be a hard niche to pick up with mechs unless they make something Bluetooth, something compatible where no one would complain.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like virtual on, like that level of complexity in the play
Yeah,
is not beginner friendly.
no, it's not.
No.
But the depth and like the level of things you can do with it was what appealed to me. It's like you've played the Gundam Versus game here, and I played it with you a couple times. I like that game, but like it doesn't you don't feel like you're piloting a mech.
Right.
It's just a fighting game.
Yeah.
And it's like there's combos and there's a few button combinations, but in general it's very much about, circle strafe around and then hit him when he's in his attack window.
Yeah.
After he's done a big flashy attack. I like the more cerebral play. I like for when I'm playing it, I want to feel like I'm in the robot. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's not just a fighting game; it's part simulator because of the controls, because of the way it actually moves in response to what you think the actual controls in a machine like that would do. I hope that there's a turn back to more simulator games in general.
Yeah.
You see a little bit of that with VR nowadays.
Definitely.
They were turning back, like back in the day, Flight Simulator and all that stuff. There was a whole genre of just simulator style things, and even just RPGs. Like you talk about classic Elder Scrolls. It wasn't just like an RPG. It was simulating the entire world
That's true.
and the economy and things like that. So simulation as a whole, I'm hoping that comes back more. Like I said, you see a little bit of that with VR, like with wargaming and World War II era gaming.
Right.
Like
Star Wars Squadron's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that it's going towards some of that because like I played TIE Fighter back in the day and Squadrons is a lot like
Yeah.
that. But it's a lot of stuff is removed because they have to make it work on a controller and they have to be like, okay, this is going to be a competitive online game. We cannot have people messing around with their systems and judging where their power is going all the constant time they need to play and
I'm just ready to move slightly to the left so I can dodge everything.
Yeah, I'd really like for the simulation aspect of games to come back more and more because that's the stuff I really like.
Yeah, the only simulators I know is like Farming Simulator. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
Well, even those though, it's like that level of complexity is like, okay, run on your farm, but apply that to, okay, I want to run a spaceship or run a robot. It's like, okay, just robot, press A to attack. No, it's robot. Okay, turn on your systems. Okay, what kind of weapon loadout do you have? I want these weapons. Okay, I want to be able to run in this kind of environment, like say like a snow environment,
Yeah.
desert environment. There are games like that are old, like the Mech Warrior games and stuff like that. You just don't see them a lot nowadays. I'd like to see like a return to that. I like
I'd actually like that
customizability.
too.
Yeah.
Storm Rogue in the chat says Command and Conquer whole series was my all-time fave, but Westwood was shut down.
Yes, I talked about Sierra. Westwood was another studio that bit the dust. I played a lot of Command and Conquer, Red Alert back in the day. A lot of Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer was another real-time strategy game. Yeah. You weren't familiar with it?
Yeah.
But it was like
Very brief.
Red Alert specifically was like an alternate reality World War II. Like, so it was like where instead of Germany and America and the Soviets, it was America and the Soviets.
Oh, okay.
So it was like as if the Soviets became like this huge superpower much earlier than they would have in real life.
Okay.
So it's a really crazy story. It like involves time travel and like erasing Hitler from history, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Okay.
But the game as a whole is really, really fun. It had a lot of personality. Like I always remember Tim Curry in the sequel. I don't know if you ever saw the bits about that.
No, I have not.
Tim Curry plays like the Soviet general. So at one point he's like, I'm going to the one place where capitalism hasn't poisoned space. And he gets in a rocket and they shoot him into space.
What?
It gets insane. But I always laugh when I think about that because like you could see him in the video. And he's totally just like on the borderline of cracking up laughing for how ridiculous the stuff he's saying is.
Stormbrook says, I think VR will change having you be able to look around the cockpit and around your surroundings.
Yes.
I think when I brought on my PSVR with the flight stick and I had Ace Combat and then the Star Wars game, like the Ace Combat game, like it's like you're literally sitting in a jet and you're looking at everything. You will get some motion sickness. So
Yeah.
You will feel it. Like once you take off and then you start looking around and then after you're moving your jet, like you'll start to feel it. And that a game like that, you want to play it with the flight stick. You don't want to play it on a controller.
If you want to talk about a game that is mecha related in VR that will make you motion sick, they have the Zone of the Enders remaster in VR for PlayStation 4.
I got to get that.
I'm sorry, what?
Zone of the Enders, have you ever played that?
No, I have not.
Zone of the Enders is a mecha game by Hideo Kojima.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
That he made it before Metal Gear Solid 2, like the original one.
I never knew that.
And the only reason anyone knew about this game was because when you bought it, it came with a demo disc for Metal Gear Solid 2. So he basically used this as a thing to get his game out there, which is like
Smart,
Zone of the
subtle
Enders.
advertising.
But it was kind of unknown, but it was very, very fast-paced mecha combat, but very short. It was only, like the first game, I think, was only 3 hours long. It was very, very short. The sequel, Zone of the Enders 2, the second runner, late-ish era PS2 game, but super, super fast mech combat.
Huh.
Like, later on in the game, just to tell you how fast it is, the mech gets an ability called Zero Shift, which is basically just instantaneous teleportation around the battlefield.
Oh,
and it's
gosh.
doing this while unleashing attacks. I have the PS4 remaster, and in the PS2 one, there was a battle where you're fighting an entire army. And it would just chug the PS2 so hard. The PS2 lags because it cannot handle this game. The PS4 one still lags. It cannot handle this battle. I'm like, this is 2 generations later, and that game still cannot handle that fight. But yeah, there's a VR.
That's awesome.
There's a PS4 version of the game that has VR, and it is super intense because that kind of speed when you're in the cockpit and in the mech. Like where you're sitting is not in the chest, or in the head, like in the normal Gundams.
Yeah.
The cockpit of Jehudi, the robot, is actually like in the crotch area, because when it transforms into a flight form, that's where the front of the jet is. So you're looking up inside the cockpit and you see the arms slashing above you and beams shooting everywhere. It's so disorienting. I need to play it. I haven't played more of it because it is very disorienting. I need to play more of it, at least to the part where you rescue the girl and she's in the cockpit with you, because I need to look over and see if she's there. That's very important. I need to see if that happens.
Oh my god.
I got to get that.
Yeah, I need to see just if Ken is in it. So
I just got a PS4 and I need to learn more about it.
yeah, I'll bring that in sometime when you have the VR set up, because it is an intense game.
Yeah, because I've heard so many good things about Zone of the Enders. I'm like, I'll get it.
The story is insane. The story like Kojima with Metal Gear Solid. He's got some people there saying, "Okay, keep it under a little bit of control." You know what I mean? Like there's some people there telling him what you like. You gotta keep it in some kind of
I am the control.
some kind of like reality has to be going on here. Like there's none of that with Zone of the Enders. It is batshit crazy.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, I have to get that game because I always keep passing it up, especially when it goes on sale, and I'm just like,
oh yeah, if it's on sale, it's even the sequel is a very short game. Like 5 hours, 8 hours, you could beat it. But if it's on sale, it's definitely worth a buy.
Okay, it looks pretty dope.
Yeah, and if you're into just like Kojima's style, like if you look at like Metal Gear Rex and Ray, that style is very apparent in the machines.
Huh.
And there was actually an anime too, but the anime was not well received. It was Zone of the Enders Dolores, I think.
I don't think I've heard of it.
There was a couple. There was even a Game Boy Advance game, I think, called Fist of Mars. But there was a couple different games in the series. But they're all kind of somewhat unknown, like I said, because Kojima, everyone's always talking about Metal Gear Solid, nothing else he's done.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's face it, everything else he's done has been very hit or miss. So maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
50-50.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. But
yeah, VR, I'd really like to. You mentioned Ace Combat. Yeah, in VR, that is especially impressive, especially for the whole sequence when you're lifting off from the carrier. But the only thing with that is VR is still very much just, it's almost like a DLC type thing. Mm-hmm. Like even with Ace Combat, it was only 3 missions.
Yeah.
I really would love some more some content for that, because that like VR, where VR is set to work the best, in my opinion, is in simulation type stuff.
Yeah.
Like flight sims, driving games, stuff like that. Stuff where you do not necessarily have to move around, because a lot of people don't have the kind of space to do, a lot of things where they're moving around.
Right.
And it never feels, to me, it never feels natural. Like when you're doing the games and you actually have to move in 3D space, and it's like Arizona Sunshine, either you're doing this, like with the sticks to make it to make it do the running motion, or you're just doing the teleport thing. And that'll make you motion sick too, because if you're not used to that, and then other people watching, they see the teleport thing going on, they're like, I don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you're in a VR headset, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend offers me to use a VR for Resident Evil 7. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this.
I use that for like 15 minutes, and I'm like, okay, 1, I'm getting sick, and 2, this is scary. It's like, waifu, stop stabbing me.
waifu, stop stabbing.
Yeah, play that game for at least the first 15 minutes for the intro, but everything else is like, oh, I feel like I'm sliding on a world made out of butter.
I'm just going to play it normally on console like everybody else.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic. The things that you do as a cosplayer. I want to touch upon that before we also go on to more of the gaming stuff. So we want to segue into your cosplay stuff. Of course, people don't know that Uberscosplay, I mean, it's in his name. He is a cosplayer or whatnot.
Yes.
And if you have seen our post, I mean, Gundam cosplayer or whatnot.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of giant robot stuff.
like, give us your origins on that. Like, I would like to hear your story on that. Like, how did you get into it?
Well, I was big into anime and stuff for a long time in high school, and I was aware of like what cosplay was, but I was never really interested in it. Like I always thought it'd be something cool to try one day, but just never ended up panning out. And at one point, I got the idea that I wanted to make like a robot costume, but I didn't really have any idea how to do it. And it was the Alt Eisen from Super Robot Wars, which is one of those Japanese strategy games I mentioned.
Yeah.
And the Alt Eisen is like this giant Gundam-style robot, but he's super heavily armored. He's got tons and tons of crazy like wings coming off his back, and like his main weapon is not like a sword; it's a giant pile driver on his forearm. So it's a very crazy design. But I got the idea that I wanted to make this robot, and like I was at work. And it was like some crap job at Sears, I was a young guy. And I was just like grabbing like parts of styrofoam or cardboard or whatever. I thought, oh, this kind of looks like that. But it never ended up panning out. I never ended up doing anything with it. And that was when I was living in California at the time. Well, I ended up moving to Florida at one point or another. And a friend of mine, Shirley, is into cosplay. And she's going to a con dressed up as Saber from Fate's Day Night, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with the anime. But it's basically
I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
It's basically a female version of King Arthur, and she's got the Excalibur sword.
Okay.
She ordered the Excalibur sword, like a replica, on eBay, but got like shafted because of a bad description or like scammed or something, to where she ordered a sword that was 40 inches long, like typical length, and she ended up getting one that was like a letter opener.
What?
Like they used they did like one of those things where they put up like a fake picture,
Yeah.
And the show was in 2 weeks. There was no way she could get something else in time. And she knew that I did Gundam models and stuff like that. So she asked me, do you think you could do something like this? Could you make a sword? And I thought to myself, like, well, I've never done something like that. But it's like, I think I could try it. And so I had like a Nerf sword that I just had as like a, like a toy or something sitting around. So I took that, and a bunch of plumber's putty, which is like 2-part epoxy putty you use to fill up cracks in piping and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Took a bunch of that and built a new hilt around where the foam one was. Like I built out some of the shape with cardboard so it wasn't all putty, but the outside all was this hard putty. And I painted out details for like the lettering and stuff on the blade and sanded it as best I could and painted it up and everything. And then I had this foam Excalibur sword. And it was kind of a good idea because like you go to a con and it's like a weapons check, this is dangerous. It's just a foam Nerf sword. You can't hurt anyone with this. Oh, okay. So it worked out well. But after that, I kind of thought, this was kind of fun because I was learning things. I wasn't like following a guide or anything like that. And it was just kind of using skills I had already built up in model building to make something new. And it was fun. So then I said, you know what? I should go back to this idea I had and try to do a robot costume. So first thing I decided was I want to build that robot, the Alt Eisen, someday. But I'm smart enough to know I'm not there yet. Like I don't have the skills or the knowledge or everything or the experience of materials to do that.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, first I'm going to do a giant robot costume. It's just like a proof of concept. Can I do this? So I picked the simplest one I can think of, which is the original Gundam from the 1979 anime, because the design is very simplistic.
Yeah.
There's nothing too flashy going on. So I experimented with a lot of different materials, just going by what was online. This was back in like 2008. So at the time, there wasn't as many guides for things.
Right.
There were people doing giant robot costumes, but most of them were overseas in Singapore and Japan, and a lot of them just didn't have guides and information around. So I had ended up experimenting with things like coroplast, which is like corrugated plastic, like the kind you might see people use for political signs on lawns, that kind of stuff. And also experimenting with fiberglass and resins and things like that, but that was all kind of a mess. What I ended up using was a material that I still use a lot of today called Sintra. Sintra is like a very thin PVC sheeting. The good thing about it is it's lightweight. You can work on it with hand tools like knives and stuff, and it cuts really easy and it bonds really well with regular super glue. Yeah, like the helmet I have here. Yeah, that's all same material.
Oh.
But let me put him back here like we done before.
Let me lower your camera.
No, it's okay. I'll just put him back here.
Okay.
I don't want you to have to fuss with the cameras and everything. But yeah, this is all made from that same material, which is 1 millimeter thick Sintra.
Wow. I couldn't even tell.
Yeah, so I took some 3D models off some forums, specifically like the 405th forums, which are the guys that do the Halo armor, and did up this Gundam costume. It took about 8 months to build. And it was very, very rough, very simple for my first costume, but I was able to move around in it. I was able to see. I was able to have like a good range of motion and be in it for a very long amount of time without like suffering too much.
And that's the main goal for comfort.
There's a saying with cosplay is like if it's comfortable, you're doing it wrong. The idea is, can you survive the day?
Pretty much. I need to get that mindset.
Yeah, it's because even disregarding armor and stuff, if you're wearing like a costume that has like a wig and a big frilly outfit, you're going to be just as uncomfortable, especially in Florida heat.
Yeah.
So it's just like, can you design it in such a way as to look where the makeup's going to hold together till the end of the day, or where the wig is not going to tear your skin off before the end of the day? It's the same thing with armor. It's like, will I survive the day before my limbs go numb? That's really what you design it for. It's gotten better since then, but it's still very much a thing.
Oh, definitely.
So I finished this Gundam costume, and it was kind of funny because by this point, me and Shirley had connected more, and we were actually dating. And she was very much like, oh my God, what have I done? I get you to make a sword, and your first costume is a Gundam.
Yeah.
And it's like, talk from going to 0 to 100 in like nothing. And we took that to a small con down here, which I don't think is around anymore. It was Chibi-Pa. I think that it's partially like Anime EY now. Like a lot of the staff works for them now.
Okay.
But we went to Chibi-Pa, and I won their Best in Show award with my first costume. So I was like, ooh, I was pretty stoked about that. And it was fun because you get to meet so many other costumers and just talk about how you built the thing. And because like some of these designs in anime are just like completely insane.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people have never done a lot of this stuff. A lot of cosplays is like the first time that it's been done in like or the real world. So it was always interesting to me is how you apply what you know in real life to make this stuff. So I started getting really involved with cosplay. But I still always had the idea in my head that I wanted to do that big red alt Eisen at some point. So the Gundam was the proof of concept. The next step was size. It's like, can I make something that's that big? So after that, I went and decided I'm going to make the Galgagar. The Galgagar is this giant robot from an anime called The King of Braves, Galgagar, which, if you're not familiar, the company that does Transformers, Takara,
Oh, okay.
in the 90s, Transformers was doing very poorly. And so they kind of put the show on hiatus. And they had this other series of shows in Japan running with the same kind of thing. We're going to do robot toys.
Yeah.
And it was the Braves series, and there was 7 of them. The last one was the King of Braves, Galgagar. And it's this giant robot lion that combines with a bullet train, a stealth bomber, and a drill tank to turn into this other giant robot called Galgagar.
What?
Yeah, it's very crazy Transformers type stuff.
That sounds actually pretty cool.
But it's kind of like Voltron, and it's got the lion aesthetic.
That makes sense.
Like I said, it's got like the big superhero shoulders because the shoulders are the bullet trains. But this was a very big mech, so I'm like, okay, I want to do this to see if I can do something that's giant, because Alt Eisen I knew was going to be big. And
Oh snap! He looks dope.
yeah, if you see some of the pictures from
snap, the concept.
yeah, but very very cool show.
Well, would you send me the link to it on Discord?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's still one of my favorite animes is Galgagar. That show is killer. But my materials had gotten a little more refined by then. Like I was using, like on my first costume, I was still using like some foam core board to do certain parts, and there was still some coroplast in it. The Galgagar was almost completely the PVC material, so it was a lot better overall. The detail was much better, and the size was much much larger. Like the Galgagar has its giant wings from the stealth bomber on its back.
Yeah, I'm looking at a toy right now, and I'm kind of stoked.
Yeah, I built that in the costume, and the wings were 7.5 feet wide.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, the wings were gigantic.
Jeez.
And just as a reference too, I had to get this costume to California for a show.
Oh no!
So how do you get a 7-foot wingspan into a box?
Multiple parts.
They actually split down the center on either side, and they were attached with Velcro, so the wings could split into 3 sections.
Smart man.
And I don't know if you see in the pictures, but the character also fights with this giant gold hammer.
Yeah.
The hammer's as big as he is, for the most part.
Right now I'm seeing a chibi
Yeah.
version, but I see an actual.
Yeah, but that hammer I made as well, and it was that big in relation to the suit. Like the hammer was made out of just like paper and foam board to keep it light. Even then, it was 40 pounds. That's how big it was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was gigantic.
It's
But-
crazy.
The thing about the hammer too, because at this point I'm also thinking about how I'm going to transport the stuff. The top of the hammer could come off, and you could put the other costume parts inside of it, and then put the big
I didn't-
hammer in a giant box to ship that.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, so already at that point I'm thinking about how to get some of these giant things around. But the Galgagar also had lights in it for the first time in a costume. Like it had lights on the lion eyes, and it also had sound. There was a small sound controller in the face
Oh.
that would hook up to speakers in the chest, so it would play like you just hear like the lion roar every now and then, or the theme song from the show, stuff like that I'd have going on. But it was also, because of the size, a lot of these giant robots have like really exaggerated proportions. Like the shoulders are super wide, the heads are very small compared to the rest of the body. So you have to come up with some tricks to make the illusion that you're that size work. So the biceps, where they weren't actually attached to my arm. They were just
I found your
hanging.
cosplay.
Oh, you found it?
Yep.
Let's see what picture you're. Oh yeah, there you go.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me a link.
What are the odds I find it?
Well, I don't know if you can see from this picture, but you see where my biceps are. Those biceps are not actually attached to my arms at all. They're just hanging down from the shoulders, so that when I move around, they don't get in the way.
What are the odds?
Because my shoulders are not actually that wide. There's not a lot of Galgagar cosplays out there. I'm pretty stoked that mine shows up early on in the search results, so that's cool. But the whole reason the arms were like that is so I could shrug out of them, the biceps, and then I could bring my hands in front of me, because one of the things the character does is he does this special attack where he brings his hands together and then smashes his fists into the other guy. So
That does sound like some kind of Japanese mech techniques.
Yeah, he goes hell and heaven.
Okay, that sounds
Yeah,
dope.
it shows badass.
Wow,
but,
sheet of light.
Good lord.
Which one are you looking at? I can't see.
The one with the hammer.
Yeah, that thing is giant.
At a foam board and everything, that is impressive.
Yeah, for any locals, if you want to see these costumes, like my Gundam and my Galgagar, they do still exist. They're actually on display at Tate's Comics.
Really?
Yeah, like if you go to Tate's Comics, their Gundam model section, up above them, they have them on display mannequins. So
The
those
one
still
on,
exist
North
and you can still
Lauderdale,
see
right?
them. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're a little old now, so they're maybe looking a little worse for wear, but they're still around, thank God.
Damn thing is huge.
Yeah, like I said, that hammer alone was 40 pounds.
What?
And it's just paper. It's just because it's that big.
Jinkies in the chat asks, so what's the secret to controlling the sound if it was at the face?
Yeah, there was actually, it was like a little iPod shuffle. I had to press the button with my tongue to get this out.
That's freaking dope!
I've come up with better ways since then, but back then it was kind of very jank. It was very jank.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's not the best story. It's something that I would definitely not do anymore. But yeah. So Galgagar was the proof of concept in that I could do something that was that big. But it had still a lot of problems, like the way the feet were. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but there's a heel section and a toe section, and then there's a big gap in the middle. So,
Yeah.
so I'm on like a stilt that is shaped like an upside down U.
Oh.
But because the foot is angled downward, it's like a high heel.
Okay.
So I didn't realize this when I was designing it, but all the pressure of my weight and the weight of this giant costume is pushing down on my foot under my toe at that angle. So it's a ton of pressure on your big toe. So we're at Anime Expo in California, and I'm on stage, and both my big toenails have popped off my feet because of the amount of pressure.
Oh my god!
And I'm on stage swinging this hammer around, and you can see it in the videos. Like I stop, and my arms are like, because it's that far away, and the leverage, and I'm exhausted from the whole day, and my socks are completely filled with blood by this point.
Oh my
God.
So this is what I'm talking about, like with cosplay. It is rough,
As long as you can survive, right?
right? And it's like I survive, but barely. But even that was fun because it's like I won my first contest with that, with the Gundam, and then I won my second contest with the Galgagar, and they sent me to California and AX as part of the prize, and there, it's like AX is the creme de la creme. It's all the best cosplayers are there competing, and I'm on my second costume, and even then I managed to walk away with like best intermediate.
Wow.
It's like I can't really compete any higher because I've only built 2 costumes. They judge you based on like how many you've made, and it's like you can't be a master until you've won a couple big awards.
Oh, it's smart.
So I got as pretty much as I thought. It's like as good as I really could have expected, especially when it's like they also are judging you on performance, and it's just me as one guy, and all I could do was like a few moves to the song and the opening animation. But yeah, that was definitely very cool. But the point of that one is like, okay, I can do big, crazy shapes. I still need to figure out a few things because I lost my toenails, and it's very uncomfortable. So from there, it's like I thought I had enough experience to try the one I had wanted to do for like 10 years by this point, which was Alt Eisen. So I got the designs together and started building this guy. And Alt Eisen, like if you thought that Galgagar was big, Alt Eisen is as wide as he is tall. It is giant.
Jesus Christ, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and you can see just that.
Link me.
Just the lower leg is bigger than the torso, each one.
I'm looking at those calves, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Alt Eisen is a big boy.
Like those calves, man.
Yeah, and this is why it was very good that I started with all these other ones to get to this point, because this one, the design,
Jesus.
the design presents challenges that I would not have been prepared for.
Like I see the layering that you had to do, and I see like the pieces that had to be assembled from it.
Yeah,
I can observe it from that angle.
yeah.
And that is impressive.
But just like because of the size of it, like those shoulders, they're their own piece, but the way they connect is there's these pipes that are fiberglassed into the torso that come out and are angled up that the shoulders actually drop onto and lock into.
Oh, okay.
Because there's no mechanism that would be able to support their weight otherwise.
I was thinking PVC, but that might be too light.
Yeah, it would just be too light because of how it's not even just size, it's weight and how far away. Because the further away you move from the center, the heavier things get.
Was that made from Centro, or that's like another?
That costume is still all Sintra,
Okay.
but there's a lot of fiberglass in it because it was so big. It needed support. Like the legs have all fiberglass inside of them.
Holy smokes.
Same thing with the torso. But this costume, when I was wearing it, this thing weighs like over 45 pounds. Like the whole costume, it is incredibly heavy.
Wow.
Like I wore that first time I think for a contest in, when was it? I want to say 2015, maybe 2014. I could be wrong. I think it was 2014 because I won Best in Show at SuperCon in 2014. That must be it. But I haven't worn it for a while after that. I wore it a few years later for a photo shoot, and it was like agony. I had not realized how heavy it was back then.
I'm looking at your shoulders and like.
Yeah, like those things are huge.
Yeah, and the shoulders too, like the front component
Like
actually
traps.
opens up. And there was like storage in there as well. Like you could hide food and stuff in there.
All right, now I know who I can smuggle food with.
Oh yeah, especially if I got the tanks. The tanks are the best thing for smuggling stuff in the cons.
I'll bring an air fryer if we go to Otaku Fest.
You down?
You down, Charles?
When I went to Otaku Fest, like I don't know if you guys know Cody's cosplay. He like does Batman, a bunch of other costumes. He was in the Batman suit and he's sitting there dying, from Pete. I roll up in the tank and I reach in the compartment and I pull out like a Mike's Hard Lemonade. And here he goes, oh thank God. He's like, you want drinks, man? Follow the guy that's got a cooler built into his costume.
I love you, Ben.
It was like it was the same thing like at I think it was Anime EY. I went there in my Tiger tank. And I rolled into the judging, and they're like, okay. And I reach underneath the seat and pull out 2 Heinekens. And I'm like, I'm not bribing you guys, but you guys look thirsty.
Yo. All right, so let's get Ben on this for Otaku Fest. I'm gonna get a mini air fryer that we can smuggle.
There are pictures of me and Steven with the tank, and we both got beers, and we're getting tanked.
Yeah, I'll bring an air fryer. We can get some wings and stuff.
We were going to, but we didn't get a chance. When we go to maybe we'll do it when SuperCon rolls around again, because my girlfriend's tank is the Italian one.
Oh, okay.
And mine's the Finnish one. So I'm like, I'll bring the drinks, and we'll just order a bunch of pizzas and tie them to the back of your tank. So she'd be driving around with like these pizza boxes stacked on the back of her Italian tank. I have like a picture on there. I have like this picture of the driver too, and she's like looking at a big pizza, and she says, "Mamma mia!" And I'm like, I want to paste that to the side of the tank for
That's
it.
chaotic, and I love this energy. I was not ready for this.
No.
But yeah, the Alt Eisen, like I said, size was very high, and every time I did something, I tried to work in something new with it. Like I said, the Gundam was the proof of concept. The Galgagar wasn't just the size; I was using electronics for the speakers, the lights and stuff as well. For the Alt Eisen, I started using motors as well. Like it has this Gatling cannon on its arm with 3 barrels. There was a control right here on my thumb where when I pressed it, every barrel would reciprocate back and forth.
Oh.
They would light up and they would make noise like the gun was firing. So it would just press a button, make all these noise, all this motion and stuff. And those were just parts I had cannibalized out of a couple different toy guns. So even then, very rough. But every time I was trying to do something more. And I still try to do that now. Every costume I make, I try to work in something new that the last one didn't have, just to kind of keep pushing the envelope, you know?
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, the Alt Eisen is one of those cases where, like I said, I made that costume back in 2014. In a lot of ways, I'm still trying to top it because just the design is so over the top. It's really hard to plus one that.
Man, that is one hell of an origin story when it comes to your cosplay, man.
Yeah.
Like,
At least
looking at your...
My girlfriend very much tells me, she's like, I have created a monster. It's very true. It's like it all started with you and your sword, and that's where it exploded
created
into.
a monster.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, like, looking at from your very first one to where you're at now, and then, of course, you're also working on another one.
Yeah, right now I'm working on two simultaneously.
What?
I'm working on the Gundam EZ-8 and a duplicate of another one I had made in the past. The duplicate one is specifically because that one I designed for international travel.
Right.
And I sold it, and I need a replacement for it for when I do shows overseas, because not everything is easy to fit on a plane.
That is true.
This one is one that has like a large container backpack, kind of similar to the Galgagar, where it had something I could store parts in.
Yeah.
This one, I can fit all the parts in the backpack and put it in a box and put it on a plane. I've actually taken that old costume went as far as like New York and Mexico for shows. So that's why I'm doing a replacement for that.
Jinkies in the chat says, I created a monster.
Yes, you very much did. That's her in the chat there. that's why she's purposely asking questions that are embarrassing, like the thing with the iPod in my face.
I picture you like a newt, just like with your tongue.
In my defense, I was wearing a Zentai suit, so it's not like my tongue was directly on the button.
Okay, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, let's segue. Let's segue into our next topic. Best games in the last 5 years and why?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, this one, when I heard you were going to ask this one, I was like, ooh, because it's like I play mostly older games, so I was quickly like Googling up when did XCOM 2 come out? Is this in the past 5 years? Okay, the patch came out a little while ago. Oh, okay, I'm good. So
The patch.
yeah, it was like the expansion came out recently. That counts. But yeah, the game I've been playing the most of lately is XCOM 2, because, like I said, my origin in gaming was always strategy games. XCOM 2 is, that classic strategy game where it's not just managing the units, it's managing the facility, your resistance network, and everything like that. Have either of you played any of the XCOM games?
I've heard of XCOM. I've seen gameplay of it. It was just not for me.
The
I tried Halo Wars once.
The original XCOM goes back to like '93, like
What?
where there was like a top-down strategy game, and the whole idea is you're a government organization called XCOM that is there to fight aliens.
Oh, it's like Space Force.
From taking over the Earth. But the whole idea with XCOM 2, yeah, it's the Space Force.
It's literally Space Force.
I would dig it. I would dig the Space Force so much more if their logo was like an alien skull with a knife through it, like it is on XCOM.
Yes.
That would be a badge I'd want to wear. But XCOM 2 is the sequel to XCOM from a few years prior, because they've been doing more games in the series since '93. But the company Fire Axis did the modern ones. So they had the first XCOM 2. The whole idea is, okay, Earth got overrun. Now XCOM is like a splinter terrorist organization that is trying to fight back against the aliens who have now occupied Earth. So you don't really have a base. Your entire operation is set on this flying like carrier, almost kind of like the Avengers carrier.
That's what I was trying to
but smaller than that.
Okay.
Because it's very much like paramilitary at this point. Like they don't have a lot of resources. And you have to connect with resistance networks, like resistance cells around the Earth. You have to recruit soldiers. And you can customize your soldiers, make them speak like tons of different languages, make them look like just about anything you can imagine. There's tons of mods and stuff to put in other characters and stuff like that. But when you're in combat, it's a top-down view, and you move around the units individually, and you command them individually like that. So, and you take your turn, the enemy takes their turn. So it's like that classic RTS feel that I like.
So basically, like Heavy Gunner goes west.
I'm not familiar with Heavy Gunner.
Like some guy with a Gatling gun, for example, going like all the way to the left inside a different building. Like you tell them where to go.
It's like that, and you do have different classes. You have guys that are grenadiers, you have guys that are rangers, you have guys that are snipers and specialists and healers and all kinds of things. And every character you can customize. That's one of the things I like. It's like simulation.
Oh, that's cool.
It's not just strategy, it's simulation. You're the commander. You have to run every facet of the operation. You have to say, this is what you're going to research for new technology. This is what your group is going to build. Like you're going to build new grenades or new suits.
Okay.
And then it's like even you're controlling where on the Earth you go with the ship, which resistant networks you have, which resistant networks you're going to help. And like sometimes they get attacked and it's like, well, I can't save those ones because I have to focus on this other thing, so I have to leave them to their own devices. Stuff like that. That's the kind of thing I like in gaming, is that level of control. And the game is super, super addictive. And if Shirley Jinkies is still watching, it's her fault that I'm losing so much time to this game because I knew this game came out. I purposely avoided buying it because I knew that I would lose my life to it. She bought it as a birthday gift because it was on like some kind of Steam flash sale. And I was like, no! I didn't do anything yesterday except play XCOM. It was terrible.
XCOM, more like XCOM Poor dad joke this week.
It is terrible. It is terrible how much I get it. I want to send like Fire Access a letter saying it's your fault. My costumes aren't done yet. And they're like, what the heck is this crazy guy talking about?
Jinky says it was on sale.
It was on sale. It's like I just gave him a little bit of crack. I didn't think it would destroy his life.
It's cosplay and an XCOM.
Yeah, XCOM has been really taking up my time. It doesn't help too. Like, there's tons of mods that people have made to like put other characters from other stuff into your game.
Oh god.
So I've got like the entire cast of Stargate SG-1.
What?
In my squadron running around and stuff like that. Or it's like I have like the character Benjamin Sisko from DS9 running around with a shotgun and a knife, blowing away aliens. I'm like, it seems fitting to me. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that. For other modern games, the only things I can think of recently that I played a lot of was I played the Final Fantasy remake at the beginning of the year when that came out, and then Ace Combat 7, which was not last year now, but it was 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when that came out. But those are the most recent ones I've been playing a lot of. Ace Combat, I already mentioned. I love Ace Combat 7. Like the gameplay is really, really good. The graphics and everything are really good. Like when you're flying through the clouds and the plane ices up and everything. Everything about that game is really, really good. But the story is so bad. That story is so dumb.
Jeez.
I cannot believe how dumb it is. It's like, because Ace Combat, I don't know if you played any of the PS2 era ones.
Nope.
No,
They really only started having a story from like 3 on, and 3 never came out in the US, not with its story. So 4, 5, 6, and everything else. I played 4, 5, and 0 on the PS2, and then a couple of the PSP ones. With the exception of some of the PSP ones, which were very arcadey, all those games had really great stories and really good characters. And because it's not just about the flying and everything like that, it's the storyline of the world, because it's not based in reality. It's kind of like an alternate reality called Strange Reel. Mm-hmm. Where it's like you look at the map and it's like, that kind of looks like Earth, but it's very much, they've changed the way the continents look.
Yeah.
The names of the continents are all different. Like instead of like Russia, it's Yuktovania. Instead of the USA, it's Usia.
So it's a parody.
There's very obvious there's very obvious like these are nations that are based on ones in reality, but they are different. And there's also like super science stuff going on. Like they have a space elevator.
Oh.
So they'll have a space elevator, and then there's F-15s flying around it. Like, so there's stuff from our level of technology, and then there's stuff that's like crazy. And some of their stuff they change with names is really strange. Like they have a nation in the game that is called Sapan. It's just Spain, and they moved one letter. And it's very obviously Spain. Like from like what's going on in the story, it's obviously just supposed to be Spain. So some stuff like that.
That's actually good.
Yeah, but the stories in the other ones have always been pretty, like, there's crazy stuff going on, but it's very still grounded. Like they're very much like, okay, this is like the Cold War story, you know what I mean? Or this is the story about terrorism and stuff like that. Ace Combat 7 this is a story about drones, like the future of air combat being about drones. And it is so dumb. Like it is like painfully dumb. Like I got through the entire story and I'm just like, I don't care about this princess. I don't care about the nation I'm fighting for. The most interesting thing they do with the story is at one point you're framed for the murder of our president, and they put you on basically like a squadron that is like this is our fodder squadron. Like this is all like criminals and stuff who can fly, and we're just going to put you out there on like suicide missions. That's like the most interesting thing. Everything else is like awful.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like you're flying around your plane and like you have like the numbers on the tail, and when you're in the squadron, like it's just crossed out.
Chris,
they even like the logo for the squadron is just like a regular shield. It doesn't have anything on it. It just says spare. it's like wow, they don't care about us at all.
Good luck, everybody.
It's like, yeah, if you come back, it's like, don't fuck up the plane. We don't care about you.
Chris in the chat says story in 7 is way better than Horizon. Ace Combat Horizon is so bad.
Horizons is that online one, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Or is that Legacy I'm thinking of? I forget.
You're gonna make me look this
You
up.
might be looking up some of the PSP ones too, because I know some of the PSP ones were pretty bad stories. I'll say that, but I don't look at like PSP games. I'm not going there for Shakespeare. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about you, Waluigi? What are your games?
I'd start off by saying For Honor. It came out in 2017.
Just barely.
I know, just barely. I enjoyed the fighting mechanics it came with because you have your classes or your clans, like you have the samurai, the knights, the Vikings, and then the Wuhan, which is like the Chinese section that nobody really liked. Nobody really liked them because of the
Unfortunate name.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Wuhan or Wulin. I think it was Wulin.
Okay, I must say, it was like you might have something else. Why does no one like this faction?
There's only 3 characters in that faction. But I enjoyed playing specifically in the samurai group.
Don't have like bat-themed armor.
I was in my series. I couldn't hold it back. I enjoyed the Japanese side, which is Shugoki, which is like their tanks, because I definitely enjoyed the online component with it. But the story was actually nice because you follow everyone's faction, everyone's little side story. Then another game I'd like to say is Dead by Daylight.
Oh, that's the zombie one, right?
Oh no, it's a horror survival.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Dead by Daylight. That's the one where you're like the serial killer monster type thing, and you're hunting people, right?
And you have to build the generators. I enjoy it just for the comedy of it.
I have seen a lot of funny videos based on stuff in that.
I know I've said this once, but I ruined someone's Twitch chat. Like someone's like Twitch game. They were streaming, I see TTV, and they're about to escape, and I'm like, no, you're staying here. And then there's a opportunity in the game where you build all the generators and you can escape. Nobody did that. Then there's an escape hatch. If one person's left, I let the person crawl there, I close it, then hook them back, and I apologize to this person in English and Spanish since they look like they only spoke Spanish.
Oh, man.
That's my toxic trait.
Chris says, For Honor, one reason why I have a hole in my wall.
Yeah, it seems like a game that would do that.
Yeah, I waited for like the season pass and it was on sale, like $20. I got everything. Even the Wulin.
Nice. Yeah, Wulin, don't say the other one.
It was by accident.
This video has been blocked by the CCP.
Wash your hands with your keyboard. What about you? I think I got one more, but I want to let you go.
Okay, for me, I would say, honestly, you already know it's going to be Dark Souls 3.
I know you're
Yeah.
going to say
I already know it's going to be Dark Souls 3. To the point where I'm really considering doing another New Game Plus run because why not? I'm a glutton for punishment, and of course, I would say Dark Souls 3 really got me into the lore of Dark Souls, and I'm hoping that we get any news from Elden Ring, but who knows when that's gonna happen and whatnot, because I've started to like I forgot his name, Miyazaki's games. I'm starting to like From Software games, because after Dark Souls 3, then there was Bloodborne, then there was Sekiro, which loved it, but I'm not doing New Game Plus. I'm not doing New Game Plus because that game literally gave me some mental breakdowns because you just put the controller, you just put your hands on your hands, just be like, I'm not playing this no more.
Sekiro, that was a From Software game?
Yeah.
I never knew that, actually.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And let's see, there's Dark Souls 3, another one. I'm gonna give it to Destiny 2. I'm gonna give it to Destiny 2.
Really?
You know, I haven't.
After they messed up with 1 because there was a lot of controversy.
That's the only one I know about. I know there was a lot of hate about it.
Yeah, but with Destiny 2, and then of course with the expansions, I like it.
I enjoyed it when they booted off Activision.
Was that?
I enjoyed it when they booted off Activision.
Yeah, and I didn't like it when they killed off Cade.
Nobody did. Wasn't it because he was going to star in his own show or something? I was trying to remember.
That I don't know.
I
Get out of the contract or something?
Yeah, he was about to leave, so they wanted to make his death like a more valid reason, so he can actually.
At least they gave him something.
Yeah, continue his own voice acting career.
Yeah.
I remember this because I was deep in the lore of Destiny 2, and I was deep in Forsaken.
That's got to be rough though, because like you said, you sign on for a game, you're going to keep running for a few years like that, and contracts and stuff come up. You know, what can you do?
Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing at the chat because Chris is saying fuck the owl in New Game Plus and Sekiro. That whole bitch does way too much damage for no reason. And it was like when I fought him the first time, I was like, yeah, that's where my mental breakdown started to happen was when I fought the owl because I'm just like, bro, why is this so hard? And then when I finally beat him, I threw my controller down, like, I'm screaming, I'm like, yes, fuck you. Oh my god, like, you just have a breath of, like, it's done. And then you fight the final boss when he has 3 phases, and that's just...
There's always one more final form.
Yeah, it's always one more, just like, can you get any more difficult than this? I'm like, let me not say that because... let me not.
Don't tempt fate.
Oh my god, I realized Destiny 2 is also crossplay.
Yeah.
I can actually, it's cross-save too, so I can at least get my Xbox version on the PS4.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm going to join you.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it to Destiny 2. So Dark Souls 3, Destiny 2, another good game. I'm really going to give it to... It's JRPG, Persona 5.
Ooh.
I haven't played any of the Personas since 3.
I never played any. I'm going to just say it.
It's long. It's long, but it's worth it for being long.
I now have PlayStation, so I can at least get 5.
For a JRPG, and because of that, now I want to explore other JRPGs that I've kind of 100% missed out on in the PS4 era because I was like, man, if there are more JRPGs that are close to like Persona 5, I want to get back into it because even though...
Necopara?
What's Necopara?
No, don't you Google that.
I'm Googling it. Screw you.
And
Necopara Vanilla.
And the last one is
I told you not to.
And the last good game is Monster Hunter World.
What is it?
I should have saved my joke for this one.
Oh god.
Okay, never mind.
Go on, let it out.
No.
While we're here.
Link me it. Send it to me.
I'm just going to show you the Google search. That's it.
It's a deep, interesting story with very well-rounded characters.
I sent you a link, and let me know if I can say what's on my mind right now.
I mean, you might as well.
That's fucking cat girl.
What's wrong with that?
There's a lot of things wrong with that. I look at Google Images and I got so confused.
You talking about our Japanese RPGs? That's the first thing I thought of.
This is a catastrophe.
Okay, now it's not funny.
It's still
I feel wrong for looking at this.
I feel like it's illegal.
I don't want the FBI to come through the
Make
flames
sure you
and be
put it
like,
on your bookmarks, okay? Come back later.
I'm looking at the wiki, trying to understand.
Yeah. Well, I guess there would have to be, of course. What am I saying?
Appearance, personality, This is, I can't take this serious.
Very deep.
It doesn't look that deep.
Yeah, well.
This looks so sick. Anything with cat girls and maids, I know it's no good.
but yeah, Monster Hunter World. I mean, I spent over 300 hours into that game. It's worth it. It is worth the money. it's worth the game. It's worth the time to invest into. There's so many weapons that you can choose from to go on about how you want to play. I was a complete noob at the game, so I started off with just the bow and arrow. Then I just advanced to other weapons when I got more comfortable learning the monster's movements, and then of course the most difficult one, building your class, building the class that you want. Do you want high DPS? Do you want a high attack, high defense? It's like you can go so far with that game. After 300 hours, I was like, I'm done.
300 hours in any game, that's a lot.
Yeah. I know I committed like maybe 200 hours in Overwatch, maybe 100 hours in Mortal Kombat, and probably 11 hours on Cyberpunk.
11.
And I'm barely like touching any
I was
progress.
going to say, how much of that was just you watching a movie?
2 hours.
Okay.
2 hours.
I would say, if we're talking about gaming hours, I would say the most games I put in the most hours in is Skyrim.
I think all of us would.
For me, it was Final Fantasy 11 when I still used to play that. I had 365 days worth of hours in that game.
What?
Yeah. It was a lot. Mind you, that's over a course of years, but yeah, it's a good thing I'm not playing those MMOs anymore. But I think that was like 9 years that I've been playing it, and at that point it tells you how much time you've been logged in continuously, and it was legit over a year. I'm like, yeah, I need to stop.
Okay, now I got a real question now. How many hours did you put into Necropara? I'm looking at this.
Find me on Steam and you'll see when I'm in there.
All right, I'm going to do this.
Anytime it's not XCOM.
Anytime it's not XCOM.
I need to find the mod to put the Necropara characters in XCOM, and then I'll be good. You'll never see me again.
Favorite gaming genre and why? I think we've already I think with our best games in the last 5 years, you kind of get an idea of what our favorite gaming genre is. For me, it's mostly action, adventure, RPG, and fighting.
And for me, it's strategy, base building type games.
The same thing for me with action, fighting. I go with puzzles as well because I used to be like a huge Tetris fan. Never knew why. I always wanted to compete it, but I'm not that worthy. I also like to add a horror now that I'm getting into it.
Yeah, horror. You mentioned horror games. Something I played back in the day too that was outside my norm because it was a shooter and it was horror. System Shock 2. Did you ever play that?
I've heard of System Shock 2.
I haven't.
Yeah, if you like horror games, you should check out System Shock 2.
Wait, so what's your Steam account?
I'll tell you later. I don't see who else is on here yet. Yeah.
All right, our next topic: gaming gripes and pet peeves. Who want to go first?
I might as well since I've been doing Cyberpunk. I do respect that they actually started doing patches in the game, but there are so many glitches that are still out there. But I'd say lag time and loading times at this point, because with newer games coming out for the older consoles like the Xbox and PS4, the loading times are much more longer. Like, I can probably just cook up air fry some chicken and I can be ready, and the game is still loading. Same thing with lobbies. Unorganized lobbies, like for older games like Black Ops 2 and such. I gotta change it up before I start talking about people again.
Just start talking about drama, getting into that.
Oh my god, yeah, I've been in so much drama.
Yeah. Internet gaming drama is just like stay away.
Like, I was in Xbox clans and it was so cringy when I was like 19.
Yeah, you have to give up the ghost of ever trying to talk sense to anyone, because you can't talk sense to anyone about anything anymore.
Like, people are dense.
It's like, look, just the red guys, just go here and shoot them. It's just, even the simplest concepts is hard to get through to people.
But
any multiplayer game is suffering in that regard.
Yeah, definitely like Warzone. There's so much drama about the DMR.
Yep.
But I think they're nerfing it now.
The DMR.
They're nerfing it.
I'm making flashbacks of DayZ.
Oh my god, Daisy, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a while.
Especially the DMR. I'm like, oh god, flashbacks.
I mean, at least you're not playing World War Z. That looked like it was garbage fire.
Yeah, that was.
The movie was garbage fire too, but I never understood why they made a video game like that.
What about you, Ben? What are your gaming pet peeves, your gaming gripes?
Biggest one lately is just the trend of everything being always online.
Okay, yeah.
And especially like if you play mobile games, like I do play a few like mobile games on my cell phone. No matter how popular it is eventually going to die, and you will never be able to play it again. I hate that in games because even like old games, like I've been playing computer games for a long time. Like one of the first ones I ever played was this crappy MS-DOS Star Trek game.
Oh.
And MS-DOS, if you're not familiar with it, it's just like it's before Windows. It's like where your computer was just that black screen and type lines, and you're playing games on that. I hadn't played this game since I was like 9. Okay? I was able to go online recently and find it and play it again. Okay?
Wow.
In 10 years' time, I will never be able to log into Fate Go again on my phone and play that ever again if it shuts down. It's just going to be gone. The servers will be shut down. You'll never be able to play it again, period. And it's like that with some games I've been playing recently. Like there was a game on mobile called Master of Eternity, which was
I've heard of it.
There's another mecha strategy game and everything. And that was more popular in Korea. It didn't do well here, so within like a year or two, they shut down the servers, and now you can't play it anymore.
Oof.
So I really hate that. I really hope there's some kind of push to where like these online games that are totally reliant on everything being server side do stuff where they release some kind of way for you to play it on your own. I know it's not conductive to their business model because they want you to play. A lot of these games are like it's you pay to play. Or,
like Clash of Clans, Summoner's War, and all that nonsense.
It's like the game is free, but to buy stuff in the game, microtransaction based, it doesn't suit their business model to have that ever be something you could play without them. But it's like, I wish that it's like a thing, if you're going to shut down the server, they would still let it go. Like I was playing a Girls in Panzer mobile game that was, you had to go through all these hoops to get it to run because it never came out in this region. You had to go through like a third-party app to get it to run.
Oh, okay.
And I was playing it for a while. It's all in Japanese, but I knew enough about it to play it, and I was collecting all this stuff. And then I get this message, the game servers are closing in October forever. Please use any currency you have left over. I'm like, what the fuck?
What's the point of using a currency? You're shutting down.
You're shutting it down. I can't even look at the stuff I already have anymore. I hate that. So it's unfortunate. So yeah, I hope there's some kind of way where that goes away. But unfortunately,
like an offline mode would be perfect.
An offline mode, even just like, release the codes, and if the fans out there like it enough and they want to do their own server, because there are lots of old games. Like there was a Gundam MMO game that got shut down years ago, and there are people that run their private server.
Oh, I've seen something like that.
It's like why can't we just do that? Like if the demand is there, let them do it, and just when they get tired of it, they get tired of it. But until then, it's like what harm? Just you're not making any more money off of it.
Yeah, I've seen people like that made like fan-made versions of various games.
Yeah, and there's tons of stuff like that of like private servers for older games and stuff around. Like I mentioned the Gundam one. I know there's private servers for MMOs like EverQuest and Meridian 13 for really old ones and stuff like that. But yeah, so hopefully that goes away sometime soon.
All right, and then for me, I have about 2 recent gaming pet peeves. One of them being, I need to stop sending me invites to other games that I don't have. If I'm not playing the current game right now, like if I'm playing Tekken 7 and you're sending me an invite to Fortnite, Apex, or any other game, I may just delete you off my friend list. I may
like leave me the hell alone.
Do you see the game that I'm currently playing? Like, please don't do that. Like, that is annoying. And then what makes it worse is that they spam it so much. Like, I would be on stream and after someone's like sending me an invite, and I'm like, bro, I am playing another game. Please stop with the spamming. Like, it's annoying.
They start spamming your texts.
I'm glad I don't have nuisances like that on Xbox.
Like, don't. And my other one is mostly just gaming in general. Is as Ben said, it's going more so online. I would like to see maybe a surge in offline stuff. Like, I would love to play most of my games offline and not have to worry about ridiculous, huge updates. Like, I'm tired of it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like, you turn on your PS4 and Oh, you can't play the game because it's got to get updated.
Xbox in a nutshell.
It's the same thing like even with XCOM. Like I've been playing that lately. Mm-hmm. The XCOM is not multiplayer, but it keeps on every time I start up. It's like, hey, your internet's not on. It's like, leave me alone. Stop! I didn't steal this. Stop checking.
Yeah, man. Like, I would love to play like most of my games offline that don't record. If it's a single player game, I should not have to play it online. I don't have to be online to play a game meant for one player. I should be able to play it offline completely fine.
That's true. It's not like we're pirating the game.
Well,
Ahoy!
ones.
Ahoy, matey!
Older ones, maybe.
Yeah, those are my two pet peeve grinds. Like, stop sending me invites when I'm playing another game because you want me to play your other. No. I understand you need someone for Apex or you need someone for Warzone, but I'm not available right now. And this is the reason why myself and many other people, we start putting ourselves, we're offline. Like, leave us alone.
Right.
I can't talk right now. I'm doing hot shit right now.
All right, and we'll segue into our last topic, and that is Q&A from followers.
Let's see.
Y'all got any questions?
I haven't checked, actually.
I got a couple.
Neither have I.
And for those that are watching in the stream, of course you can ask your questions in the chat as well, and we'll go ahead and answer them.
Was this streaming to mine as well?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Has anyone personally asked you questions?
Okay, I got one from. Hold on. No, I don't want to do that. Why did you? All right, this one's from Allison Wonder. Can't see it all. Hold on, let's see all. Why did you cry when Spider-Man? When you played Spider-Man for I think for PS4?
I just got it, so don't you dare. Actually, I mean, go ahead. I'm probably going to say it's going to take a while for me to get there.
Spoiler, the good guy wins.
All right. For me, why did I cry? Because I was so into the story, and then up and towards the end where Peter had to make a decision to save his Aunt May, who was dying, or save everybody else. And he wanted to save his Aunt May, but he knew that the right decision to do was to save everyone else. So he had to save the cure for everybody else instead of giving the cure to his aunt. So yeah, that got me. I felt really emotional about that. That ending had me feeling. Yeah,
I'm going to be crying later if I start playing this. Oh dear.
Wait, I don't. See, I've never done the responses things and whatnot. Like, I see it, but it's like, I want to make it bigger. But whatever. All right, we got another one from Eddie. We have one from Eddie.
Hey.
What's the most underrated Gundam kit?
Most underrated? Jeez, that's a tough one.
Oh, thanks, someone here for hosting the stream. I'm looking at Twitch.
All right.
Most underrated, I'm going to have to say, is probably the RX-78 or the RX-90, the RX-79G, the ground type Gundam. That's an older model kit, so as they get older, they're maybe not quite so good. But that's one that I think holds up really well, even versus modern kits, because of it still comes with all the accessories that suit has all of its weapons. It has the machine gun, the beam rifle, the 180 millimeter cannon, it has the backpack, the two swords, has everything that suit had. And it's still, even though it's an older kit, it's able to do the one knee pose where it can get down on one knee with the cannon, which even some modern kits had trouble with up until fairly recently. So I'd say that is probably a very underrated master grade kit.
All right. Got another one from Eddie. If you could be physically in any Gundam shows, which one and why? You already know, Gundam.
Most of them I'm going to be dead in. Because most of the time, like the average cast of those shows don't last too long. Let's see, a Gundam show that I would survive in. So that's what I mean. It's like you don't want to be an IBO. You definitely don't want to be an IBO, especially if someone is not a main character. Well, that's not even a guarantee.
I have no idea since I haven't watched Gundam.
Oh, jeez.
Is that Iron Blooded Orphans or something?
Yes.
Iron-Blooded Orphans, yeah.
Okay, so I know I was about to say that because that's the only one I
Iron-Blooded
can
Orphans
remember.
is the one where the boys are running around through the entire show without any shirts on. That's how you know.
That sounds kind of like my style, anyways. But but I'm not gonna die.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just gonna look at a Gundam show and just say it.
Gundam show this. You know what? Build fighters, because no one dies in that. I'd survive that. They're all just playing with toys. I'd live in that one.
Another one from Eddie. What's the one Gundam kit you wish they would make?
Master grade Kshatriya.
Optimus Prime. I'm kidding. I don't know anything.
I would like to see. I would like to see more kits from the G Gundam series.
Yes, I mentioned this to my girlfriend last night because I was just messing with the high resolution Ga Gundam, and I'm just like, man, this is annoying. She's like, what? I'm like, they don't have a Nobel Gundam in Master Grade. And you look at pictures from when the old Master Grades came out back in the late 90s, they had pictures of prototypes of all the other suits in Master Grade size. The Dragon Gundam, the Maxter, the Rose Gundam, Bolt, and even Nobel in Master Grade. They never made them. They had prototypes made, but they never made the kits. Intensely frustrating.
Yeah.
Huh.
Another one from Eddie, and I think this is the last one. If you had to estimate how much you spent on Gundam since the beginning, how much would it be?
Is Shirley still watching? Is she still watching? I'm going to say. It's too much. I very much tried to reel it in. Let's put it that way.
Reel it in.
With Gundam, it's like, if you just like, I like this one suit, they will release 1,000 things of that suit.
Oh, variations. Okay.
Just variations, different sizes, different, action figures, model kits. I pretty much had to limit myself. It's like, okay, I'm going to pick one definitive representation of a suit I like, and that is the only one I get. That's it. So it's like, I like this suit. I'm buying that kit of it and nothing else of that suit. It's what you have to do. Because if you just, it's like Eddie, he likes the original Gundam. If you just keep on buying original Gundam suits, you'll be broke inside of a week. It's insane because they just release so many.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too long ago, there was a perfect grade here.
Yeah, that's the one where it's like, I'm very tempted. I ended up breaking this rule.
Oh, was that the one that you wanted to get but somebody bought it?
The one that was like $300.
Yeah, and it was huge.
I cracked up when you were so pissed off.
Yeah, because we had ordered more of those originally, but that shipment that was carrying it, the container ship sunk off the coast of Hawaii.
No, Waluigi, it was another Gundam that I got mad that someone else bought. It was another Gundam. It was
I don't know names of Gundam, so I can't say anything about
it. Was Epion. Someone bought the Epion.
without Ben tackling me.
Because it was
the Optimus Prime joke. If I had a Nick Verne talking to call me Optimus Prime, I'd be a very rich man.
At least no one called you a Metabot.
It's happened.
Wait, what?
The worst one was I was dressed up as Captain Harlock, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, I love Lelouch from Code Geass." I'm like, I'm going to murder you, and you put your head on a stake and parade it in front of your family.
That was brutal. I love it.
I would say, for me, since I've gotten, I would say I've gotten even a little bit. I'm starting to get worse at it because now I have a backlog because I have 5 kits that I have not built yet.
What?
And I'm still buying more.
What?
5, you poor innocent child.
I'm like the only one who hasn't bought anything. I have $0 in this.
So I would say I'm getting close to the $500 range in purchasing Gundam kits. I'm getting close. My most expensive one that I've bought would be the Gundam Wing version Ka.
Oh yeah.
That would be my most expensive one.
Yeah.
For now.
That's a very good kit, though. I can't fault anyone for buying that.
Anyway, after I saw that one, I forgot the guy's name that came here for Paint and Build Night. I was here, and he had the Unicorn Master Grade EX.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
I was like, I want to get that one because it just.
That's like a $200 kit. A lot of places.
Yeah.
I feel so broke right now. Like, that's a real flex.
And it just looks so nice out the box, but there's just so many parts.
Yeah, no,
What?
it's got all the light up stuff in it as well. So
I feel so foreign.
Don't worry. Once you
You just gotta find a series that scratches your itch. You might
Yeah.
not know you have the itch yet, but there's enough out there where there's something that you're interested.
you always start off
Not
with
that
one.
itch. That's something else.
No, Mike, I think I'm interested in Bumblebee.
Listen, well,
Turn the camera off.
like my first kit that I bought here, my first kit that I bought ever was a Master Grade Master Gundam, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing with it, so it's kind of beaten up or whatnot. That was like my very first one, and then my second one was a high grade Strike Freedom Gundam, and I did a good job on that one. So I was like, okay.
I think I
Then
watched one of your live
another
streams.
high grade, and this one was the Burning Gundam.
Yes.
I think that was the one I
bought another
watched.
high grade, which was the RX-78. I bought it from here. And then I bought more, and then more, and then I was just like, I want to stop, but it's like, another
What you
version.
need to do now is you need to get an airbrush and do some painting and custom.
Oh, no.
No, man.
I have seen I've been getting recommended YouTube videos, and of course even Facebook ads of Gundam painting or whatnot. I'm like, I'm not ready on that. I'm not on that level yet. And I've seen the crazy detail people do when it comes to just painting Gundam kits, and it's mind blowing. But it's like that's a whole nother level, a whole nother level. There's building it, and then there's painting it.
Yeah, I've
We'll
seen
get
some
you
people do
there.
like
We'll
carbon
get you there.
fiber,
You're gonna believe it.
carbon fiber pieces, and I'm here confused, like, why?
I'm like, I don't want to get to that level, but if I'm gonna be here any longer, I'm gonna end up getting to that level. It's like, we got him. Senpai's now painting Gundam kits.
Just think about it. Is it price per everything? For that $300 kit, you can get an airbrush and enough paints to do tons of different kits. You get more bang for your buck.
I
It's
feel
a
like
money decision. It's a
I
better
feel like I get
financial
more bang
choice.
for my buck if I don't buy them.
I have no stake in this game. Trust me, I am not a snake oil salesman.
I'm glad I'm clean as of now.
Yeah, soon.
What?
That's all it takes. Don't worry. I'll if anything, I'll end up buying you one and be like, here you go. And start them off.
Please, God, no.
I don't know.
We're gonna start Waluigi off with an SD kit and then a high grade,
And I'm here just like picking everything out.
and then you're gonna want to test your luck with a master grade, and then that's when.
And then if I
you're gonna
muck
take
up,
off.
I'm just gonna have to reprint the parts.
There's people online that have models for 3D printing expansions for kits and stuff.
Big brain
Seen the one
energy.
for you talked about G Gundam. There's a guy that has a 3D model you can download or buy kits from him that turns a high grade Gundam into the Nether Gundam, the one that's the windmill
What?
from G Gundam. See, that's the one that's going to be his first.
I'm
one.
so confused.
Yeah, see, that's why. Hold on to that feeling.
Chris in the chat says, better than me in Yu-Gi-Oh cards because he dropped so much money in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
I used to be that way. I had to break out of that.
card collecting is rough.
Oh, in an episode of Otaku to South Florida, I just showed like all this collection I had in a plastic bag, and I'm just here just like counting all the cards.
It's funny because my mother up in Michigan's like, hey, a friend of mine like passed away and they had a bunch of Magic cards. Do you know anything about this? I'm like, look for this Lotus, look for this. She's like, why? I'm like, because you can retire. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes. Look through them, see if you have these. It's like some of these are ridiculously expensive.
That is true. I have a deck, but I have no idea what it's filled with.
Look through it. If you have some of these old Lotus cards, it's like, yeah.
Because I got it like maybe 10 or
pay off your
15.
mortgage.
I think I got it 12 years ago. I got this like random deck.
You need to look into it. Like somebody's out there sitting on these cards and has a lot of money. They don't know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Last question from an anonymous. How big is it? I don't know what you're talking about, but
11 by 11.
yeah,
9 by 9 by 9. That's my printer.
Print volume. I mean, what else would they ask about?
Good question.
Nothing else is important.
Yeah.
Mom, this is a clean chat. Mom, this is a
It is?
no.
I should have saved that little joke for later.
Nah, it's fine. She knows I know. Like this.
Oh man. Well, before we close on, you guys have any last words? Any final words?
Ben, it's great to have you here. I remember meeting you like 2018 briefly, and then I found you in a rap video.
You're gonna need to show me the link for that because I don't remember.
I know
being in a rap video.
there's this rapper named Food Stamps who just like explored a Comic-Con. I followed him on Instagram, and I just looked at this music video. And I'm like, wait, I know this guy. And like then I see me with my gun pointing out because I had a Lancer prop. I'm like, all right, I think we can get along and just show this moment. But then we actually got to know each other at the one of the last episodes of Flynn's Fan Fest.
Right.
And that is where I came up with the name Ben Pie.
Yeah.
Definitely great to have you
You're
here.
going to show me that YouTube video because I stopped looking at YouTube videos when every single one of them kept on referring to me as Optimus Prime.
I didn't even mean to offend you. That was the funny part about this. This was an unintentional offense.
Funny the first 5 times. 10 years later, it's still happening.
Autobots roll out! I'm gonna see if I can find it.
There's outright videos of saying, "Oh my God, Optimus Prime!" You can hear me in the costume, muffled, saying, "Yeah, whatever." It's my continuing existential crisis.
The new existential crisis.
Yeah, I guess on closing, if anyone comes out for Build and Paint Night and you want to play some virtual on, hit me up. I'll bring out my console. I'll bring out my twin sticks. We'll do some matches. It'd be fun.
I found a video. I'm just gonna. Should I send it to you on Instagram?
Oh no.
All right, and where can they find you, Ben? I mean, I have your social medias posted in the video, but
Best place to reach me is Instagram. It's just Uberscosplay, UBERS cosplay, all one word. I'm pretty much on every social media, YouTube, Facebook, everything as well, all with the same name, Uberscosplay. So you hit me up there. If you're a Flynn's regular, you can hit me up on the Discord as well, either in the Gundam Club members chat, or just the general Gundam chat. I'm usually in there posting terrible Gundam memes.
That is true. They're just mostly terrible, just because I don't understand it.
That's fine. I'm not going to argue that they are bad.
I'm not cultured enough.
and also, of course, tomorrow is another episode of Let's Talk Gunpla.
Yeah, there's one of the club raiders is messaging me about whether or not he's going to be on, so I need to figure out if we're going to have him on. It's the guy that's always doing the glow tape.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
That is another level of Gunpla I've never seen.
We need to get that out of the system so we can stop mentioning glow tape all the time, because we keep on mentioning the guy. But
glow tape.
You gotta literally, you're building. You have the kit, and now you put like glow tape on it or whatnot. So that way, when you have it under like UV light or whatnot, it just
shines up through the frame.
It shines and it just looks amazing.
Y'all are nerds. I mean, who am I to say that?
I'm looking at the He-Man sticker on your computer.
Oh yeah. This is from Jay Stalja or Graves Gallery. I do not regret it. Terry Crews.
Oh man. Well, y'all, that concludes our episode 19 of the South Florida Gamers Podcast. Ben, it has been an honor and great privilege to have you on. Can't wait to have you on again.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, definitely, guys, if you guys missed the entire video, of course, you can watch the playback on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, where it's currently being streamed at. And for audio-only listeners, you can definitely check it out on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, where it will be available later on today. And that being said, in 2 weeks from now, we'll have our next episode, and I'm not going to say when.
Should we just
Yeah,
let's just get it over.
Yeah, we might as well go ahead and spoil it. This is a special announcement that South Florida Gamers Podcast will be at Otaku Fest in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I gotta get my act together.
I gotta get my stop playing Nekapara, man.
We will be at Otaku Fest.
Built a
Built
a goddamn transformer. Goddamn transformer. Love you. I have no idea what to cosplay. If you guys give me any ideas, I'll do it.
Bumblebee.
Maybe.
But yeah, we will be at Otaku Fest. Come Sunday at Otaku Fest for a live podcast episode, and I can't wait for that.
Oh man, me too.
Cannot wait for that. So
Should be fun.
You know how many people are gonna annoy this week?
Alrighty, with that being said, we're signing off.
Love y'all.
And see you guys on the next one.
Peace.
Take care.